Today, we will learn all about the Bluffton Middle School overcrowding situation, and we will get some insight into what's happening with funding for USCB. It's all coming up right now on the Bluffton News. Welcome to the Bluffton News. I'm Anneliza Itkor, and we have a lot to cover: business, entertainment, and of course the latest local news. But first, let's start with Bluffton's current headlines. The newest and historically youngest member of Beaufort County Council was sworn in on Monday in council chambers in Beaufort. Robert Vaughn Jr., known as Tabor, won the Council District 9 seat in a special election Tuesday last week. Vaughn has spent almost his entire life residing in Bluffton. He's a graduate of Hilton Head High School, the Citadel, and the Charleston School of Law. After law school, he served as an assistant solicitor prosecuting criminal cases in Beaufort, Jasper, Hampton, and Allendale counties. The practice Tabor is now part of focuses on personal injury, civil litigation, and DUI and criminal defense. He also serves as a South Carolina state constable and prosecutor for the town of Port Royal. As the town of Bluffton closes on about 7 acres across from Itkor National Headquarters, its officials say a newly formed public development corporation could play a major role in using the purchase to expand the Don Ryan Center for Innovation. The purchase, divided between a 2.63-acre parcel directly across from the technology-focused business park and another 4.57-acre plot across from the police department complex, doesn't close until March 8th, when town officials will detail the price. Utility tax credits and not taxpayers' dollars will be used to pay for the land. Efforts to develop the technology cluster at Buckwalter Place, which will number about 30 acres after the 7-acre acquisition closes, heightened when benefits management company Itkor National moved to the area in 2007, eventually employing more than 500 people locally. The town's concept plan calls for a new roadway extending to the right of the roundabout that leads to Itkor doorstep, creating a corridor controlled by the town with access to the new parcels. One of Bluffton's long-standing family businesses, the Bluffton Oyster Company, received the Bluffton Regional Business Council Member of the Year Award during the Hilton Head Island Bluffton Chamber of Commerce's annual ball this past weekend. The award was presented to owners Lisa and Larry Toomer during the Oscar-themed event at the Westin Hilton Head Island Resort and Spa. The Toomer family history is entwined with the shores of the May River, with a legacy of fishing local waters that goes back well over 100 years. The Bluffton Oyster Company has occupied its site longer than any other oyster shucking house in the state and serves as the last standing shucking house in South Carolina. Their restaurant, Bluffton Oyster Company's Family Seafood House, specializes in fresh local seafood, and they work closely with regulatory agencies on water quality. Each year, they return thousands of oyster shells to the May River for seeding for future harvesting. Driving on Interstate 26, you may have noticed the construction of a new major facility in Orangeburg. Well, after a year of dedicated effort, the site has now been completed. A 3,000-seat assembly hall built by Jehovah's Witnesses sits on a 50-acre lot near Interstate 26. The center will serve primarily as a location to educate the Jehovah's Witnesses on biblical principles for daily life. More than 300 congregations will use the assembly hall for their semi-annual assemblies.
It's so nice to be able to come to a place that's going to be dedicated for our worship for years to come into the future, and to be with so many brothers and sisters, our friends from around the area, around the state, even across the country, and to be able to be here for such a privileged ceremony.
The $10 million facility, funded entirely by volunteer donations, includes a water feature in the atrium that is also used as a baptismal pool. The pool includes a special lift system to assist disabled delegates.
The building was built with the environment in mind. It is a green building. We use a filtration system that's also very new and different. It uses ultraviolet light to keep the water crystal clear and pure and safe.
The auditorium includes a large mural reflecting the Low Country and Midlands of South Carolina. The building also contains technology for the hearing impaired, including video walls and video systems.
The building is actually set up with state-of-the-art technology that allows us to have American Sign Language presentations done for the public.
Over 5,000 people volunteered their time and effort in the construction of the facility, some coming from as far as California, others from areas such as Beaufort, Hilton Head, and, you guessed it, Bluffton.
Usually it was me leaving Bluffton probably around 5:30 or 6 in the morning. When you finally get to see it all cleaned up and all the construction materials gone, then you can actually appreciate the landscaping. But I'm really looking forward to it in the spring when we see a lot of the perennial flowers and stuff we put in actually blooming.
Estimated to be used 40 or more weeks out of the year, the site is bound to make a strong economic impact.
The ongoing impact on the community of Orangeburg is estimated, and the Midlands of South Carolina, is estimated at some $165 million a year. There'll be growth of new hotels, new restaurants in the area, and of course that'll bring many, many jobs to this area. The public is invited to come free of charge. There's never a collection taken. So we're excited to be here in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and we look forward to working with the local community.
For more information on these headlines and more, please check out the media sources you see listed on your screen. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Coming up, BJ Frazier of the Bluffton Sun brings us the buzz in Bluffton as the Bluffton News brings you hot off the presses.
The smoked chipotle burrito is really good.
Yeah, my zesty cheesesteak burrito's great.
Are you familiar, Pete, with the phrase, don't mess with success?
Yeah.
Because this is not only messing with success, this is taking success to the cliff and shoving success over.
Success said, oh, please, don't do anything, leave me alone.
These burritos didn't even hear that. They heard, oh, put, and that was it. It was just like, wah. Egg everywhere.
Wake up to sirloin steak and fluffy eggs with the new zesty cheesesteak and smoked chipotle breakfast burritos. This is how you Sonic.
Welcome back to the Bluffton News. Joining me now is BJ Frazier of the Bluffton Sun. So, BJ, this Bluffton school dilemma just seems to be going on and on. Have they found any solutions yet?
Well, nothing concrete yet, Anneliza, but what they have done is to alleviate the school crowding, they've decided to, or put forth a proposal to create 2 attendance zones based upon demographics and geography and so forth. And right away, they're going to put the 6th and 8th graders into these 2 different zones. And that's going to take a while because they have to confer with all the parents and so forth. Because, you know, if you're on one side of the town, you got to have your child bus to the other side. Not a lot of people are going to be happy. And they're also going to move the 9th graders right up to the high school as soon as they can make that feasible. And then longer term, they're grappling whether to build a wing to the school, which would cost about $10 million, and then would be full as soon as they're done with it just about, or put in temporary classrooms, those trailers, which would cost about $2 million. So they still have a long way to go to resolve any of these issues.
And where can we find all the details on that, BJ?
Oh, in this week's Bluffton Sun. Make sure you
read
your copy.
Tax season. It is right on the horizon. Everybody starts stressing about it, but I understand this year there's an organization that is reaching out and offering some free tax help.
Yeah, there is. And as you know, the tax season is going to be even more complex because of the new tax laws and so forth that are just recently passed. But Volunteers in Income Tax Assistance, VITA, has partnered with Goodwill Industries, and they've come up with a plan whereby if you make an income of less than $49,000 a year, you can get free tax help for your basic return. Now that help is given by appointment only, and you can call 815-6566, and they set them up Thursday afternoon at the Goodwill facility. So if you need help, give them a call. They're great people and they'll help you out.
I think that's just a fantastic offer. Now, we haven't talked about this in a while, but it seems to be the topic that will not go away. The 278 Bluffton Hilton Head flyover project. What's new with that?
Well, it's kind of interesting because they've received an unexpected $5.4 million from the State Department of Transportation. Now, in my book, if you got $5 million lying around, why is it unexpected? But nonetheless, it's good news because it closes that $5.2 million gap. So now they can proceed and get a quote on the $37 million proposal they have in front of them from the construction company. And the $54 million project is just going to hopefully get going and be resolved within the year or so.
Now, do you know, BJ, if that flyover does that put back in the aesthetic elements, or are we still back to just kind of having an ugly flyover bridge?
No, they're going to go ahead and do that, but probably the town of Hilton Head is going to have to come up with those funds.
All right, well, that's good news for everybody.
Yes, it
BJ,
is.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Anneliza.
And Shellie, West-Hodges takes a look at the giving side of business in Bluffton as we take a peek at how nonprofits are helping Bluffton youth sports and Bluffton businesses. We have a lot of families and businesses that are involved with Bluffton Youth Sports. It's a very popular program. Tell us what's sports coming up and how can people get involved?
Well, right now they are recruiting for baseball and softball, and that's for ages from 4 to 14 years old. They just had their evaluations this past weekend, and they're getting ready for their draft picks, which is February the 13th.
I understand there's a lot of children involved in this program.
Yeah, it's pretty large. It's about 650 kids. And BYS actually formed in the year 2000 and was incorporated. And as a matter of fact, Oscar Frazier, one of our old community leaders, was the first signer on that group to really focus on doing things for kids in the area.
Now, we were mentioning that youth sports offer some opportunities for area businesses. What's that about?
Now, they do offer different sponsorships, which is great exposure for some of our businesses. Anybody that wants to sponsor a team, or if they want to have a banner on the fields, they can contact Bluffton Youth Sports and give them a donation for different levels of sponsorship. And it's really a great opportunity, with one of our nonprofits, and a lot of exposure with kids and families, and really a great business avenue.
And BYS, they are a nonprofit, so they're always looking for volunteers that are available to participate. How do we find out more about that?
Well, they do have, they are on the website. They also have a Facebook. You can also call the chamber. Here in Bluffton at 757-1010. They have all the information there. And they're always looking for people to coach or do the concession stands, refereeing. So there's plenty of opportunity there, and it's a great rewarding thing to do to help the kids out.
I would think it's a fantastic way to get involved in the community and also give back to the future of Bluffton.
Yes, it is.
Now, moving on to a slightly different topic, this is one of the most popular and well-established businesses in Old Town Bluffton, and yet you had a ribbon cutting. Can you explain?
Yes, Kim and Thomas Viljak, that own Old Town Dispensary in downtown Bluffton, actually have teamed up with the folks that own the Sage Room over in Hilton Head, Matt and Carol Jording, to open up a full service restaurant at the Old Town Dispensary, which is serving lunch and dinner. And they had a good crowd. We had our councilman Ted Huffman and Mike Raymond came out, and a lot of local folks to celebrate this partnership that they have formed with these folks, and we're really excited. And Chef Matt, great guy, great food, and the Old Town Dispensary is always a lot of fun.
Well, I see you also mentioned a brunch with free champagne.
Yes, they do have a Sunday brunch, and they do offer free champagne mimosas.
And that's such a great place to spend a Sunday morning. Shellie, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Tara's Men's Den, located beside Tara's Salon at the Moss Creek Village, is a full-service salon for men only. Open Monday through Saturday from 9:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. We offer haircuts, color, highlights, waxing, and treatments for hair loss. No appointment necessary, so come enjoy a relaxing atmosphere for men only, and don't forget senior discounts every Wednesday. Call or visit us today. Our number is 843-837-5555.
Welcome back to the Bluffton News. Joining us now is Karen Lavery from the town of Bluffton. Now, Karen, I understand that you are a part of the Bluffton Community Committee. What does that involve?
Well, it's involving because our schools are becoming very overcrowded again. So they formed a committee with parents, principals, community members, and a high school student to get together. I think we've got 22 or 23 people on the committee to get together and come up with different ideas and ways to alleviate the overcrowding in our schools. We're tasked with doing a short-term intermediate, and long-term projections on what to do.
That's a pretty big task. What have you come up with so far?
Well, we've come up with a lot of different ideas, and everything is done on a voting with majority rule. Not saying that it's going to get passed by the school board, but this is what we're going to present so far, and we still have a lot more vetting to do. But we're talking about moving the 9th graders back to Bluffton High School and getting what they call now pods to put them in, which would be like a wing type classroom setting. It wouldn't be just normal cottages as you and I know them today. But in the meantime, while they're there, we would build the Davis School Road, which has been a bond referendum approved. And then when that opened, we'd put an elementary school there, close Bluffton Elementary School, reopen that as a middle school, so you'd have 2 more middle schools, and then make McCracken Middle School a 9th grade academy and still have 10th, 11th, and 12th grade at the high school.
Well, it sounds like there are several options out there, and I do realize that this is a committee venture, but I'm curious to know, what do you feel is the best solution that's been presented so far?
This one that I'm talking about, I feel is the best. One of the big things that everybody has been telling me, and I hear from a lot of people, is we want to keep all of our Bluffton children in Bluffton. So this would alleviate this. I think it would bring us out maybe 7 or 8 years, and maybe by then the political climate would be better to have a referendum approved.
Karen, that sounds great. It's always interesting to hear what's developing with our school system, because I know it's in a bit of turmoil right now over this topic, and we appreciate your taking the time to come on in and discuss it.
Thank you for having me.
I'm now pleased to welcome Candace Brasseur. She is the Director of Communications and Marketing for USCB. And Candace, I know we're here today to talk about USCB funding, and you were mentioning earlier that there's that USCB, while it's the fastest growing school, it receives the least amount of funding. Why is there that inequity?
Well, the reality is that we haven't been able to get the support that we need from the state legislator for a more equitable distribution. Right now, USCB only gets $940 per South Carolina student, whereas the average for other 4-year baccalaureate institutions in the state is approximately $2,400. And for private universities in the state, it's $2,300. So basically, that's $2.2 million that we're kind of losing out on.
Wow. Now, does USC Aiken and USC Upstate have the same issue as USCB?
Yes, they do. And a lot of people don't understand, but USC Aiken, USC Upstate, and USCB, we're all 4-year universities, and we do not get any direct funding from USC Columbia. And so all our funding comes from line items from the legislature.
Okay. Now, there are 10,450 South Carolina students and also parents that you take care of, and they're not getting the benefit of education funding given to students served by other South Carolina public teaching sector institutions. Why is that?
Well, it's very, very frustrating because we haven't got the support that we needed. And we do, 90% of our students are from South Carolina, and 25 to 30% of all students at USC Upstate and USC Aiken are minority students. So it's very, very important that we get this funding. If we don't get this funding, we can't offer the student services that we would like to. And therefore, we also cannot support our new academic programming, which impacts jobs in the future.
Now, explain to us what steps are being taken to help resolve this issue.
Well, basically, our chancellor, Dr. Jane Upshaw, she has presented to the House Ways and Means Subcommittee for Higher Education, representing USCB, USC Aiken, and USC Upstate. And Dr. Lynn McGee, who's the Vice Chancellor for Advancement, she has also been working on this with Dr. Upshaw. And our student body president and vice president, Erica Moore and Kyrie Whitehead, they have been engaging the students and have initiated a letter writing campaign to local legislators.
Actually, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, clearly in Bluffton, we have a lot of youths who are being educated at USCB. How can the Bluffton community help?
They can definitely contact their legislatures. The legislature. If you go to the USCB web page and you go under Outreach and Advocacy, you can see how all this has kind of unfolded, and it will give you directions on the best way to contact them.
Well, Candace, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. This is very important information for us.
No, thank you so much for having us.
Okay, so it's a romantic dinner for two. Now, I've already cut some tomato. Time for the vinaigrette. You are going to love this. Okay, we need some sesame seeds. My favourite pan. Now, what's really important is...
With Merillat cabinets, you'll discover function that's irresistible.
Good thing I'm not the jealous type.
Always working hard to help us make the most of our recreation time. Our entertainment reporter, Rodney Vaughn, makes no exception of this week. We've got some great stuff going on. Rodney, with this chilly weather, I would suppose most of us would like to enjoy our entertainment indoors. And I understand there's a couple really great shows coming to local theaters.
That's exactly right. A couple of really great things. The Arts Center on Hilton Head Island is coming up with their production of I Hate Hamlet. Now, this is the funniest ghost story that you'll ever see. It's a comedy about a successful TV actor who moves from LA to New York City and rents a fabulous apartment, but it's haunted. And it's just a really great comedy.
Yeah, don't give anything away.
I certainly won't. I don't want to give away any punchlines there. It's going to run through the next couple of weeks, and you can get more information at 842-2787. Again, that's at the Arts Center on the island. Tickets are $34. And then Annie is opening at the May River Theater here in Old Town Bluffton, and I'm excited about that. That's the first time that Annie has been to our stage, and it's really going to be an exciting event. Lots of children involved, so lots of parents and grandparents will be coming out for that. Tickets will sell fast, and they're $20, and you can get those by calling the box office at 815-5581.
That's cool. Annie's such a perennial favorite, and I'm excited. I'm actually going to go see I Hate Hamlet this week, and I'm really excited. I hear it's terrific.
Awesome, yes.
Now, touching on kind of a different topic here, something that's very near and dear to the whole Low Country community, the Gullah Heritage Festival. Is that coming up here?
It sure is. February is Gullah Heritage Awareness Month in Hilton Head and the surrounding areas. And they have several activities that are planned. They have a 5K run walk that's coming up. That's going to be February 9th. And they are looking for lots of runners to take place in that. There's going to be a poetry slam. Now, I'm not real sure what that is, but it sounds very interesting. Fashion show and some more activities involved. And those funds from that will fund Deep Well, which is a great project in the community. And you can get in for that for $5 or a can of food, and that's going to be free if you do that. And that's going to be on February 9th. And you can get more information on those activities at gullahcelebration.com, and you can find out some more things on the web.
All right. Well, that's culture and fun all tied up with a nice big bow.
Certainly.
Rodney, thank you so much.
Thanks, Anneliza.
This week's Bluffton News Pet of the Week, meet JJ. JJ is as cute as a button and is quite the purring machine. Just a baby, JJ loves to play and is good with other cats. What's not to love about that adorable face? For more information about JJ and other adoptable pets, contact Brookshaven Animal Rescue at 843-757-7387. Thanks for joining me for the news program that is all Bluffton all the time. I'm Anneliza Itkor for the Bluffton News. We'll see you next time.